What is up? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Mariners post-game recap for the 40th game of the season. The Mariners dropped this one 5-3 to the Detroit Tigers. I'll get into it. Before I do, happy Mother's Day to any moms that are watching. Hope you all enjoy your day. If you are new here, hit the sub button, hit the like button, comment. Let me know what you think of the videos of the Mariners, whatever you want to say. Just ask that you keep it civil. All that stuff with engagement helps grow my channel. So appreciate the subs, the likes, and the comments, and the views as well. Thank you all to those that are watching. So the Mariners dropped this one 5-3. Fall to 20-20 on the season, so back to 500 after enjoying it for one day, being over 500. I said, hopefully this is the last time the Mariners, that hopefully they'll be over 500 for the rest of the year. No, right back to 500 the next day. From the results analysis of this game, the Mariners win the series. They take 2 out of 3. That's the goal anytime you go into a series. I say that all the time. You can't predict sweeps. I'm not trying to sound cliche, but it is hard to go in and beat the same team 3 times in a row. Regardless, and that's why I was okay with the Oakland. That's why I was happy about that they swept Oakland, even though not looking all that impressive. It is hard to go in and beat any team in baseball 3 times in a row. And the Mariners almost did it. They were really close today, but they just couldn't quite do it. But they do get a series win. Listen, if you're winning 2 out of every 3 games, you're going to win a lot of games over the course of a season. So keep doing that. Keep winning series. Now, it would have been really nice to get this one because now you've got 6 games coming up against Boston and Atlanta, 2 really tough baseball teams. I'm fine if Seattle can finish this road trip 3-3. That would give them a 5-4 road trip. I will take that. So just you have 6 games. I don't care where you get them. Find a way to get 3. Now, obviously, if they somehow sweep Boston, I'm not going to be happy if they get swept by Atlanta. But you know what I mean? Grand scheme of things, hold me to it. If they can go 3-3 in the next 6, I'll be okay. Get back home 500. Then you play the A's. Then maybe you can get some W's. Let's dive into this game specifically. Mariners went down 1-0 in the bottom of the first. First 2 Tigers reached a wild pitch, then RBI ground out by Baez, made it 1-0. Mariners did get 3 in the 3rd inning. They had a balk, which they scored on. Julio singled, and Teoscar Hernandez added a sac fly to get the Mariners 3 runs off of Joey Wentz. They knocked him out. I thought it was a smart move by A.J. Hinch to actually take him out in the 3rd inning. A lot of managers are going to leave their starter in, try to get 4 or 5 out of him. He saw Wentz was struggling, knew Seattle had their lefty lineup in the game, and down 3-1, he went to his bullpen, and the bullpen was able to keep it there, and the Tigers chipped away, then getting the platoon advantage, having right-handed pitchers pitch against the Mariners' left-handed lineup. It is, I always say, it's the downfall of having platoons. You'll always take the one player over the platoon if that one player can produce as well as a platoon, because you avoid things like today. The Mariners had their predominantly lefty lineup in there, and then chase the start, which is great. That's a good thing. That's what you want to do. But they just didn't quite get enough. The Tigers are able to go to a lot of righties in their bullpen and sort of force the Mariners' hand a little bit there. Because you're not going to take Tom Murphy out in the 3rd inning and all these guys because of the platoon splits. You got to let them play a little bit. So kind of were able to exploit it. Now, normally knocking out the starter is a good thing. The Mariners just couldn't quite get that one extra hit to maybe make it 5-1 or 6-1. Kind of the theme for the offense today. Left a lot of guys on base. Had chances to add on. Had a chance in the 9th to even tie this game, and they just couldn't quite get that one more big hit. Let's look at the pitching first, then we'll dive into lineup. Logan Gilmore's okay. I didn't think he was great. 5 2/3, 6 hits, 3 runs, 3 earned, 1 walk, 4 Ks. I was hoping he'd get a win because, boy, did he deserve a win last Monday against the Rangers. Logan wasn't bad. There was nothing about Logan today that I thought was oh my gosh, what's happening? Detroit actually hits fastball pitchers pretty well. I didn't get a chance to talk about it. It was one of the reasons I was a little nervous about Bryce Miller yesterday. I thought that could be a tough start for him. And Marco, I thought, actually maybe gave him the most competitive advantage on the hill. I think someone like Luis Castillo probably gets the W today against this Tigers lineup. Tough matchup for Logan, and he still did all right. He wasn't bad. I thought he had trouble putting guys away. A lot of foul balls, a lot of problem with 2 outs. Outside of the run in the first inning, I feel like all the Tigers' rallies kind of came with 2 outs, and that run they scored in the third was kind of frustrating because after getting 2 quick outs, Riley Green got a hit. I think he moved to second on a wild pitch, maybe, and then Baez singled him home. Little things like that where you got to get out of that inning, especially against Detroit, and they just couldn't do it. And then obviously in the sixth with 2 outs, Trevor Gott comes in for Logan Gilbert and gives up the double to Akil Baddoo. I know some people were wondering, I know I'm kind of jumping around here, but why Trevor Gott against Baddoo and not Gabe Spire? Probably Scott's looking at the platoon situations there. If he goes to Spire, they're going to counter with the righty. I don't know the Tigers bench all that well. I know Miguel Cabrera is down there, which truthfully at this point, I'd rather have Spire face Cabrera, but and then you've got Haas down there. So you've got a couple guys off the bench, and I'm thinking, I don't know if Scope had come in at that point. I don't think he had. So Scott must have been thinking he'd rather take his chances with Gott versus Baddoo than Spire versus a righty at that point, because that was likely going to be the counter move there. So bottom line, you bring in pitchers that are good. Trevor Gott, Gabe Spire, all these guys, they need to get outs. So we can get on Scott for saying, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? But the guys you bring in have to get the outs. So Gott gave up that run. Spire came in. He walked Jake Rogers to lead off the seventh. Scope had a single. Kind of felt like one of those games. Ahead 0-2 on Jake Rogers. You can't give 4 straight balls there and walk him. Scope hits a ball that, a few feet to the left. It's no play. I'm not taking away from the fact that he had that hit or anything like that. Just making the point that it wasn't that far off from him getting out of it. He did get a strikeout of Riley Green, who was kind of a thorn in the Mariners' side today. And then the move that everybody's kind of jumping on, Scott goes to Matt Brash with first and second and 1 out. Now, I want to be clear. I don't have a problem going to Matt Brash there. You've got Javi Baez coming up, who is probably the most free swinger in the league. That's actually that's who you want. That's pretty much who you want Matt Brash to be facing. That's a good strikeout opportunity there. Then you've got Nick Maton, who truthfully has been one of the worst hitters in baseball this season. So, yes, high leverage spot, but it's not anything that I think bringing Matt Brash into there is that crazy. Hindsight, yes. And I know Brash hasn't pitched that well in these high leverage spots a little bit, and he wasn't that good today. He did get Baez to fly out, but then he walks. Who did he walk? It was Torkelson, and then hits Maton. So Torkelson, again, another one that, someone that you could bring in Matt Brash to face. Walks him, hits Maton, then he walks Andy Ibanez on 4 pitches, and at that point it's 5-3, take him out. So I'll be very clear on a couple things here. I don't have a huge issue with Scott going to Matt Brash in that situation. I don't. I know people are, up in arms about it, and Brash needs to go down to AAA. This guy's got 34 strikeouts in 16 innings coming into today. Every secondary number says this guy is really, really good, that he's a good pitcher. Now, with that said, and I made this point on Twitter, I'm now at the point, after seeing the command be poor here today and everything like that, I think we need to lay off Matt Brash in high leverage situations for a little bit here, at least until he can find that command again in some low leverage spots. He does not need to go down to the minors. The numbers are outstanding. The difference between Matt Brash, who truthfully actually didn't even give up an earned run today, but he didn't pitch very well. The difference between him having a 5 ERA and a 2.95 is not that much this year. He has given up a lot of bloops, but part of the reason he's given some of those up is his command is just so hit or miss. Sometimes it's on, but today it was awful. Even against Baez, I didn't think it was that great. He got him out, but I thought he was very fortunate to get him out there. It was an outside slider. Baez actually did a nice job, went with it, flew out. But Brash is not good today, and I am all for the X-Snip and that stuff, but right now I don't really care. Brash needs to be pitching in some lower leverage spots for the time being. Now, this is where, again, and I'm going to keep harping on, this is where they miss Andres Munoz. This is another game that a healthy Munoz, and they might win this thing. Brash has kind of been forced up a notch, and what do they call it? What does Scott call it? Not the swing reliever, but sort of that momentum So like bring him into the situation he was brought in today. He's that type of guy, and he just hasn't fully gotten it down. I think he can be that guy, but it's just not happening right now. And I get it. I do. Like, you got other guys like Topa doesn't quite have the strikeout stuff. Gott doesn't quite have the strikeout numbers. You could go to Paul Sewald there. I actually wouldn't have hated that in that situation, but then you're going to have to figure out the 8th and 9th as you go along as well. You could have left Spire in, but I have no problem going to Brash against Baez. So I didn't mind the move by Scott, but it didn't work, and I think it is time to have Brash pitch in a couple lower leverage situations. Juan 10 has looked okay since he's come up. Maybe you give him a couple shots at it. It's really hard. And I know people are bashing Scott over it and think he's just done a terrible job managing this bullpen. I'll go with what I said about Gott. The guy's got to get outs. Whoever you're bringing in needs to get the outs. So at the end of the day, it's on Trevor Gott. It's on Matt Brash. It's on Logan Gilbert for not being super sharp today either. Those guys are capable of getting major league hitters out. And it's hard because you could say, yeah, put Brash in lower leverage spots, but then you go to Juan 10, and if he's not able to get a big strikeout, you're sitting there going, well, who could have maybe gotten a strikeout there is Matt Brash. So, and I get it. It's been frustrating, and people are, frustrated about it because Brash isn't getting those outs. But I will say everything minus the results, and the results matter. They do. I'm not trying to dismiss it, but if you look at everything else, if you just slashed his ERA away and looked at everything else, it would profile to be one of the better relievers in baseball. He really would. I think he is going to get it going at some point and be pretty lights out for this team. But I do get both sides of it, and I would probably, maybe just for Matt Brash's own personal confidence, and I don't know him. I don't know how he's feeling with it. I don't know how he's reacting to it, but I would maybe give him a couple lower leverage spots. Thought yesterday was a good spot. 5-0 in the ninth. Bring him in. Let him finish it out. Let him get his confidence going. Maybe have him start an inning with nobody on base. I know Scott, because of those strikeout numbers, likes to use him with people on base, but I'd maybe have him start an inning, see if he can get through it, see if he can boost that confidence. And they need Andres Munoz back, and hopefully that rehab assignment's going to happen soon. I don't know. They were talking end of May, or well, I guess we're not quite. What day are we? May 17th, 15th? So hopefully in a few weeks Munoz is back. That's going to help big time too. But there's no guarantee Munoz gets the outs there either. But today was bad for Brash because he wasn't BABIP'd to death today. He hits a batter that he should. He walks Torkelson. That shouldn't happen. He hits Maton, and then he walks Ibanez. All three of those, that's 100% Brash. So I don't know. I'm kind of torn on it. I don't envy a manager that has to make these decisions because the strikeout numbers do make you think he's someone you want in high leverage spots. But he also hasn't really gotten it done there either. So we'll see what they end up doing. I think the bullpen is a little thinner than people think sometimes. It's easy to say, oh, yeah, you got to move Brash back. But then you've already got Topa pitching the 8th, Paul pitching the 9th. Now you can move things around a little bit. Juan 10 has only pitched a handful of innings in the big leagues. Spire's been good, but they used Spire today. He didn't do a great job. They used Gott today. He didn't necessarily do a great job either. Both batters he faced got pretty hard contact on him. So it is a lot of easier said than done with some of this. So, ask yourself this. And again, I'm on board with putting Brash in some lower leverage spots. For the record, on record, put it in there. But I do want to play the devil's advocate a little bit. If you're sitting there going, get Brash out of there. I mean, do you trust Trevor Gott in those spots? Maybe you do. Do you trust someone else? Because you move Brash back. Someone else has got to kind of step up. Are you trusting Juan 10 right now? Do you trust Saucedo in those spots? Because someone else has got to kind of move in there and pitch. Chris Flexen, I don't think we want him in those situations. So it's more than just move a guy back. You've also got to look at what's back there. There's not, an Andres Munoz type level player sitting there that's pitching in the 5th and 6th that can get more high leverage spots either. So it's not an easy decision to make. But I do think maybe not like low leverage spots for Brash, but let him start the inning. I think that might help him maybe get his confidence back without runners on and feeling like if I give up a base hit, this is my fault or something like that. So that would just be my take on that. Let's move to the offense because we're already 15 minutes into the video here. JP was 2 for 5. Good game from JP Crawford. He did his job today. Ty Francis 1 for 5. Again, all these guys left a lot of guys on base, and here we are. We're having a 15-minute discussion about the bullpen. I kind of put this one a little bit on the offense. They totaled 10 hits, 4 walks, and just 3 runs, and they were all in that third inning. Offense has got to be better. I mean, that's at the end of the day, we have right to be frustrated with the bullpen. Fans do, but this unit right here is the one that ultimately I think kind of lost the game for the Mariners. Nice game for Julio, 1 for 4 RBI single. Had a nice at-bat in the 9th against Lang to get a rally started. Julio's starting to see the ball better. I think he's starting to make some better contact. Hopefully he can pepper the Green Monster a little bit in Fenway. That would be good to see. Gino's another guy that hopefully he can take advantage of the Green Monster this week. 1 for 4 with a walk. Again, Gino has been terrible, but just needs some extra base hits. I need a dinger or two. The Murph was 0 for 3. Cal Raleigh pinched hit. He was 1 for 2. I thought he had that home run in the 7th. Just went short for a double, and they couldn't bring him home. Kind of the story of the game today. Teoscar was 1 for 4 with I don't remember his hit, to be honest. And then he had a sac fly as well. I don't remember what his hit was, to be perfectly honest. But, I don't want to get him. He homered yesterday. But, again, kind of, come on. Let's see the extra base hits. Nice game from Caballero, 1 for 1 with 2 walks. Another thing that was a little controversial today is Scott pinched hit Colton Wong for Caballero in the 7th instead of Jared Kelenic pinch hitting. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know if I would have pinched hit for Caballero at all. He had reached base 3 times. I think I'd kind of let Caballero go. I think the reason for not pinch hitting Kelenic is that Pollock was in the DH spot. So if you pinch hit Kelenic for Caballero, you could move Haggerty to second, Kelenic to left. Then you've got Pollock. I guess you could pinch hit Colton Wong for Pollock, and I think that's what they should have done. Rarely do I get on Scott too much because at the end of the day, you guys know I'm a believer. Like the guy's got to go out there and produce. Even with this, I don't think this loss was on him. He didn't make the offense go 2 for 30 with runners in scoring position in this game, but I probably would have had Kelenic pinch hit for Caballero or just have let Caballero bat and then gone with, especially with the runner on base. That's why people were getting on him because that was when Cal doubled, in the 7th inning. So with the runner on, I think you do want Kelenic to bat there instead of Colton Wong. Kelenic ends up leading off the 8th in a game the Mariners are now trailing 5-3. So I thought that was a mistake by Scott. That's a pretty fixable mistake. And who knows, there's no guarantee Kelenic gets a hit there either. So I don't know I don't think it necessarily cost him the game. But I thought Kelenic should have pinched hit or let Caballero bat. He's on base 3 times. Maybe let him do it. Pollock was 1 for 3. He's scuffling. He's been scuffling all year outside of the nice series in Oakland. I don't have anybody that, would replace him necessarily, so I don't think, his roster spot's on the line. But frustrating, again, versus a lefty. I know they knocked the lefty out, that's the second time in 2 videos I dropped my pen. And then I shook the camera and banged my shoulder. That's a great start. I'm going to be on the IL for a few weeks now. Holy cow. But I guess they knocked the lefty out early. It was really, I know what happened so early, but it was a real smart move by A.J. Hinch to get his starter out there. And it forced that Mariners lineup to face a lot of righties. Haggerty was 1 for 4. Infield hit. I think we did see a little bit of Sam Haggerty's value. Infield hit, gets on. Takes second on a fly ball that normally most players wouldn't get to second on. You can see where Sam Haggerty adds some value. I thought he had a chance to catch that ball in the 6th. Was in the 6th that Baду hit. I mean, listen, it was hard contact that gave up, so I don't want to sit here and blame Haggerty. I do wonder if Jared Kelenic catches that ball a little bit. I do have a little wonder if he catches that. And I don't know Haggerty. It's hard to tell what someone's sprint speed is just from looking at it. He may have made that closer than it even should have been. So, you know what I mean? I don't know. But I do wonder if Kelenic catches that ball a little bit. So, I kind of a super frustrating game, honestly, for the Mariners. But again, make this game Friday and Friday's game today, and nobody's upset. That's what I always talk about when you win the series, but you lose the finale. Just switch this game with Friday. I know you can't do that, but in your heads, try and do that. And I think you end up going, okay, Had they lost game one like this and then come back, and yesterday's game was yesterday and Friday's game today, we'd all be going, okay, like series win, let's move on. And I think that's what you have to do here. They went in on the road, won a series. Anytime you win a series, it's a good thing. Sweeps are not easy to get. They don't happen a whole lot. Mariners win the series. They're at 500. Now it gets a little tougher. You're going to Boston and Atlanta, but still a chance tomorrow to get back over 500. You get George Kirby going tomorrow. You get Luis Castillo going in Boston. So hopefully a chance to maybe grab a couple W's. Boston can swing the bats, and they're struggling pitching. So it's going to be an interesting series for the Mariners because the Mariners' strength is their pitching. So you got strength on strength. Hopefully the Mariners' bats can wake up a little bit. They need to. It's a park that you can hit in. Julio and Gino need to start putting, and Teo, put some balls out of them over the monster there. That's going to be huge. Those guys need to do some damage in this series. Detroit's a tough ballpark to hit in. Boston's not very hard to hit in. There is some power alleys there. But for those right-handed hitters, they've got to get going in Boston against a pitching staff that has struggled for the Red Sox. So hopefully they can get some damage going there and win a series. I will see everybody tomorrow. Let me know what you thought of the game. Mariners win the series. Take a deep breath. Let's go get it tomorrow night. Hope everybody has a great Mother's Day and enjoys their Sunday. I'm losing my voice here, so I'm going to get going, and I will see you guys all tomorrow. Peace.